Some athletes are born into comfort, but many are born into struggle. Some grow up with facilities, coaching, and support. Others grow up with empty pockets, limited resources, and dreams that feel impossible. But in the world of sports, starting point does not decide destiny. What decides destiny is discipline, patience, and the ability to keep going when life gets difficult. Because behind every billionaire athlete, there is a story the world rarely sees. A story of sacrifice, silent struggle, and years of effort long before fame ever arrives. The world only sees the final result, the trophies, the records, and the success. But what they don't see is the journey that builds that success, one painful day at a time. Michael Jordan's story begins with rejection. He was not selected for his high school basketball team in the beginning. For many, that moment would have ended the dream. But for Jordan, it became a turning point. Instead of quitting, he trained with even more intensity. Every setback turned into fuel. He spent countless hours practicing, improving his weaknesses, and building a mindset that refused to accept defeat. When he reached the NBA, he didn't just play basketball, he changed it forever. But his transformation into a billionaire came beyond the court. His partnership with Nike created the Air Jordan brand, which became a global empire and one of the most successful sports brands in history. Jordan's journey shows that rejection is not the end. It can be the beginning of greatness. Cristiano Ronaldo's journey started in Madeira, Portugal, where life was simple and financially difficult. He grew up in a small home, but he had a very big ambition. Football was not just a game for him, it was a purpose. At a very young age, he made a life-changing decision to leave his home and move alone to Lisbon to pursue his football career. That decision came with loneliness, pressure, and emotional challenges. But he never allowed those struggles to stop him. Instead, he turned discipline into his strongest weapon. He trained every single day with complete focus, constantly pushing himself beyond limits. Over time, that discipline shaped him into one of the greatest footballers in history. Beyond football, Ronaldo built a global empire through endorsements, business ventures, and brand value, becoming one of the first billionaire athletes in football history. What defines him most is not wealth, but discipline and consistency. Lionel Messi's journey began with a medical condition that affected his growth as a child. His family could not afford the treatment he needed, and for a moment, it seemed like his dream might end before it even started. But talent often finds its path. A football club in Spain recognized his ability and decided to support his treatment and development. That decision changed everything. Messi went on to become one of the greatest footballers in the world, breaking records, winning trophies, and dominating the sport for years. Through football contracts and global endorsements, he built massive wealth and influence. But what makes Messi truly special is his humility. Even after reaching the highest level of success, he remained grounded, focused, and quiet about his greatness. LeBron James grew up in unstable conditions with a single mother, facing financial struggles and constant uncertainty. There were times when life had no stability and no permanent home. But basketball became his direction and escape. He dedicated himself fully to the sport and quickly became one of the most promising talents in the world. He entered the NBA straight from high school, carrying expectations that most people could not handle. But instead of breaking under pressure, he grew stronger. Over time, LeBron built not only a legendary basketball career, but also a powerful business empire. Through media companies, investments, and ownership stakes, he became one of the first active athletes in history to reach billionaire status. His journey proves that your environment may shape your beginning, but it does not define your future. David Beckham grew up in a working-class family in England where opportunities were limited, but passion was strong. From a young age, he dedicated himself to football with discipline and consistency. His hard work led him to a professional career at the highest level of the sport. But what made Beckham unique was his vision beyond football. He understood early that an athlete's identity can go beyond the field. Through endorsements, fashion, business partnerships, and brand development, he transformed himself into a global icon. Even after retirement, his influence continued to grow. Beckham's journey shows that success in sports can be the foundation for something much bigger if the mindset is right. Even beyond fame and success, what truly separates these athletes is what they had to give up along the way. The world often sees the rewards, but rarely understands the cost. Long training hours meant missing family time. Strict routines meant living with discipline even when others were resting or enjoying life. Many of these athletes had to grow up faster than others, taking responsibility at a young age while still chasing uncertain dreams. In elite sports, nothing is guaranteed. One injury can change everything. One bad season can end a career. That pressure forces athletes to develop a mindset built on control, patience, and preparation for uncertainty. They learn to respect the process more than the outcome, because results are never fully in their control, but effort always is. And this is where true separation happens. Most people rely on motivation, but motivation fades. These athletes rely on systems. Systems built on repetition, discipline, and consistency. Whether they feel good or not, whether conditions are perfect or not, they show up. That consistency over years is what creates greatness, not a single moment of inspiration. Even recovery becomes part of discipline. Rest, sleep, nutrition, and mental recovery are treated with the same seriousness as training. Because at the highest level, small improvements create massive differences. A slight edge in recovery or preparation can decide entire careers. These athletes came from different countries, different backgrounds, and different struggles. But they all shared one foundation. They refused to quit. They stayed disciplined when motivation disappeared. They stayed consistent when life was difficult. And they kept working when no one was watching. Their success was not created in moments of victory. It was created in thousands of ordinary days, repeated with discipline and patience. Because greatness is not built in highlights. It is built in routine, sacrifice, and consistency over time. And that is the real truth behind athletes who become billionaires. They don't rely on talent alone. They rely on discipline, focus, and long-term vision. And that is what separates ordinary players from legends.